Welcome back, everyone. In this video, we're going to take a look at indexes, creating them, and also getting reports on them and making changes if necessary. Let's take a look at the AdventureWorks LT 2019. And to create an index, you basically drill down to the database to find a table that you want to place an index on. So I'm going to go to this customer table, expand it. Notice there is an indexes folder. I'm going to expand that, and you can see there are already some indexes there for us. There is the, let me make this a little bit wider. There is the primary key, and as you can see, it is a clustered one. There is an index on the email addresses. Notice this is non-unique and non-clustered. Of course, you can only have one clustered index per table. And then we have the customer row global unique identifier, which is said to be unique and non-cluster. So we're allowing email addresses to be duplicated. Let's actually go ahead and create a new index here. And I can create a new non-clustered index by doing it this way. I also want to point out, and we can do it this way, there is another way that you can do this, and that is to right-click the customer table and choose Design. And I actually think that this is the easier way of doing it. So we're going to do it this way. We're going to right-click and choose Design, and then I'm going to right-click a blank area here somewhere and choose, I want to create indexes and keys. And that brings up this screen, which I think is a little bit cleaner to work with. So what I want to do is I want to click Add. And what SQL Server does, it immediately adds an index IX underscore customer asterisk, which is a good name, but we want it to be a little bit more specific. So I'm going to come down here and we're going to put an underscore. And let's say, excuse me, that I want to place this on, let's see, which column do I want to place it on? Let's go ahead and take a look at, let's say, last name and also the first name. Okay, and I'm going to make them both be ascending. So I'm going to come down here and put in last name underscore first name. It makes it easier to understand what it is we're doing. Okay, so I could give it a description if I wanted to over here. What is the type? It is an index. Is it unique? No. We could have two people with the same last name, first name. I'm going to come down here. I cannot make this a clustered one. I already have a clustered one. So that goes without saying. Now let's see if there are any other options here. Recompute statistics, it's fine. Ignore duplicate keys, that's fine. This is really nothing more for me to do here. You can click over here and notice that there is the option to make this be a unique key if you wanted to, but I want it to be an index. And I'm going to choose Close, and I'm going to choose Save. And that's it. That's all there is to create an index. If I go to Indexes and click Refresh, there is my new index. This has been created, and SQL Server starts to create the non-clustered index right away. So now let's take a look at some of the reporting capabilities that SQL Server gives us to see how well our indexes are doing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my AdventureWorks LT 2019, right-click the database and choose Reports, Standard Reports, and notice that I have this index usage statistics and index physical statistics. Let's take a look at this one first. Comes up and I see my index usage statistics and index operational statistics. You can expand it and it gives you an idea how well the indexes are being used, the number of user seeks, number of user scans. So it's a good place to go and take a look at the various usage if you want it. And it also tells you which index was used, the clustered one, which is the primary key, or the non-clustered one. The one of more immediate interest to us is the physical statistics. Now, AdventureWorks LT 2019 is fairly small, and we could take a look at AdventureWorks 2019, which is considerably larger. but this will do as well. If you take a look, I see the various indexes that I have, and I have these partitions right here. If I were to expand one of them, it gives you an idea of the fragmentation that's involved. Every time you do inserts, updates, or deletes, the indexes get updated, but they do get fragmented too. And this is what it's telling you. It says that there are fragments here. And also, operation recommended to rebuild or to reorganize the indices. Rebuild is stronger. It actually rebuilds the index from scratch. Whereas reorganize does a little bit of quick shuffling around of stuff. It's still better than nothing. It's a scan, and it does make, gets rid of some of the fragmentation. But a rebuild rebuilds a brand new index for us. How do we actually? And you can go to this, and this is so small that sometimes even when you rebuild, this doesn't necessarily go away. But how do we actually do the rebuilding and reorganizing to begin with? Well, we can go to our table and go to indexes. And if you right-click indexes, notice you have the rebuild all, reorganize all, which could be pretty significant if you have a large database. You can, however, go to individual indexes and right-click and say rebuild or reorganize. It's actually fairly straightforward. If I click reorganize and click OK, it's done. If I right-click and say rebuild, and then click OK, it's done. So that's all there is to it. It's not a very difficult thing to do. You can also right-click indexes and choose rebuild all this way. And as you can see, this is a small database, so doesn't take a very long time. Now, like I said, if I were to right-click this and go to, say, reports, index, physical statistics, I might still see a bunch of rebuilds here. This is so small that these don't necessarily disappear right away, which is kind of annoying. I wish that SQL Server would get rid of them, but it doesn't always do that. With a larger database, we probably have a better chance of seeing some of them disappear. Let's actually try it with AdventureWorks 2019. Hopefully you set that one up too in one of our earlier videos. If I go to index physical statistics right here, let's take a look at one of the ones that says rebuild. So I've got the human resources employee. It says that it's got a 33% fragmentation, and its recommendation is that we rebuild it. So I'm going to go to my tables, and human resources employee, I'm going to go to indexes, and I'll right-click and choose rebuild all. You can see that this one is taking a little bit longer because it is a much larger database. Let me close this and refresh, and let's go back to our database and right-click and choose reports, index physical statistics, showing up in the most recent history stuff. So notice that for the human resources employee, this is still saying rebuild, which is quite annoying. If I expand it, it still hasn't really gone away. I guess this isn't big enough either for it to go away, but I am going to go and take a look at the indexes. Specifically, there's one for login ID, one for national ID. I'm going to right-click these and rebuild them. And there is the national ID one. Not that it should make that much of a difference. Let's refresh right here, see if that made a change. And unfortunately, it still says to rebuild it. So you can see that sadly, it doesn't always update, because again, this is, even though this database is considerably larger, it's still not, I guess, large enough for us to see much of a change here. But this is the process for rebuilding or reorganizing an index in SQL Server. Later on, we will cover how to write tasks in SQL Server, and of course, this process can be scripted. So it can run on a weekly basis or monthly basis or even daily basis if you like, hourly basis, however you like it, to run around and update or rebuild indexes that are of interest to you. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and thank you for being a great audience. And please, if you're enjoying these, share with loved ones and friends.